So my name's Tash and I am a volunteer leader and I'm also the Assistant Division Commissioner in Girlguiding St Pancras. So a commissioner within Girlguiding is somebody who's in charge of some of the volunteers. So I first got involved in Girlguiding St Pancras when I moved to Camden for university. I had been involved in Girlguiding in my hometown, both as a young member, so I joined age 5 as a rainbow, and I went all the way up and became a young leader, and then qualified as an adult leader when I was 18. And then when I moved to UCL for university, I was really keen to get involved. So in my first week, I met up with the commissioner at that time and asked if there was any units that were in need, and 7th St Pancras Guides needed an assistant leader. So I went along my first week, and yeah, the rest is history 6 years later. So Girlguiding St Pancras, we are the local part of the Girl Guides who meet in Camden, and we're mainly based in Kentish Town, Holborn and Gospel Oak. So we are part of Girlguiding, which is the UK's largest organisation for girls and young women. We have just under 500,000 members, and we are part of a worldwide organisation of Girl Guides and Girl Scouts, which exists across 150 countries. So lots of people will be familiar with the Girl Scouts of America, for example. We're all part of the same global sisterhood. So Girlguiding St Pancras itself, so we are formed of 11 units. So that goes across the age range. So Rainbows is our youngest, Brownies, Guides and Rangers. And we also have a very special unit at Great Ormond Street Hospital, which is joint with the Scouts, which is like our brother organisation, which meets with boys and girls. So we do lots of different things. So through weekly meetings and weekend trips and residentials, we offer girls and young women fun, exciting new experiences. We earn badges, we learn new skills, we do science and sports, and pretty much anything you might want to do or dream of doing at that age, we do. So yeah, we do that through lots of types of activities, but mainly based around weekly unit meetings and then trips and residentials as well. So Camden Giving kindly funded us last summer as part of their COVID response fund. And that was a very difficult time for us, as it was for all, citizens, organisations, for everybody in lots of different ways. So when lockdown hit, we started meeting on Zoom, and we got the funding around last summer. And at that time, things were starting to reopen a little bit, but we weren't able to meet in person. But we were keen to increase our scope of activities and make sure that we were meeting the needs of all young people in different ways. So Camden Giving funded us particularly for our summer set of activities. So this was for us to offer virtual residentials, which was a very new experience for sure. So we used the money to be able to provide resource packs to all of our girls. So some of those resource packs were for virtual residentials. So for example, for my Rainbows and Brownies, we did a virtual Paddington weekend where we Zoomed 3 times a day, and I gave them each a big box of resources, from little candles and marshmallows and biscuits that they could make little toasted marshmallows and s'mores on, to craft resources and clay that they can make their own Paddington with. And then we did a similar but much more grown-up version for the Guides and Rangers. But we also, for all of our girls across the division, wanted our unit leaders to make sure they could find ways to engage with their girls. So lots of people did resource packs that they sent out so girls could get creative at home, or that they could send little postcards to each other. Some leaders bought camp blankets for their girls so they could sew on their badges, and we bought lots and lots of badges. to celebrate all the different things that they've done, and we use those to kind of send out to girls. And the other element of the funding was also to support our return to face-to-face guiding, because there was huge expenditure at the time for PPE, for face masks for the kids, but also because a lot of our usual venues weren't open when we were allowed to do our usual activity. So we were hiring venues and paying costs that we really hadn't expected, and we didn't have the funds to be able to afford within ourselves to be able to hire those venues. So our grant went towards those things. And in terms of the impact, that was absolutely monumental for us, because we saw that our kids were having such a tough time in lockdown, and guiding was such a special thing to be able to unite them and also to give them a sense of routine as well. Because, for example, my guides, we meet on a Thursday evening. So every Thursday evening, we were still there, even though it was on Zoom, we were still there for them. We were still having the same fun. We were still earning badges. We usually don't meet during the holidays, but we still met all through the holidays in the lockdown, through the Easter, through half term, so we could all be together. So that was really amazing. And having the resources that we could send home meant that the kids felt really in touch with us, even the ones who couldn't join Zoom for whatever reason, for example, family circumstance, but they still felt in touch with us. Also, because we could send resources home, then we could do more exciting things, because otherwise we had to rely on what everybody would have at home, which wasn't a lot, and we couldn't ask a lot of everyone. So it was pen and paper, and that was it. So if we sent stuff home, it kind of allowed us to do more things. And then when we returned face to face, allowing more units to actually be in person was so incredible for the girls to be able to socialise with their friends again and have fun and kind of rebuild their independence as well, like outside of the home, because that was a difficult thing in that time, that they'd been at home for so long, and they've been doing absolutely amazingly, and we're really, really proud of them. But we know that kids of all ages need time away from their families and away from the home in a relaxed social setting that also isn't school. So yeah, we're very grateful to Camden Giving to kind of enable us to offer those opportunities to the girls. I think that historically people think of guiding as the organisation where you learn to like polish a bit of silver and maybe go on a camp and tie some knots. But actually we want it to meet the needs of, 2021's young women. So yeah, we're doing all sorts, from teaching them about period poverty and how to campaign on that. But we also do very traditional skills like taking them sailing and learning how to tie knots from that. So yeah, we're trying to kind of meet the breadth across all of our activities. Yeah, I have. So that's really special for us, actually. So within Girlsguiding St Pancras, obviously we've got units of all ages. But me, myself, I'm a unit leader for Rainbows, which is girls aged 5 to 7, and Guides, which is girls aged 10 to 14. So I've actually just had my first set of girls, because I started Rainbows a bit after I started Guides, who were my Rainbows, who've now become Guides. And I also have a young leader. So when you're 14 to 18, you can go back and become a young leader. As well as being a ranger. So I've got now 4 girls who are young leaders with me at Rainbows, who were in my Guides as well. And not only does it make me feel very old, but it's so special to have seen them, from age 10, being quite shy when they first joined Guides, and then now they're running activities with the Rainbows, learning loads of leadership skills, becoming really, really confident, and that's a really special thing. And now we've got, probably 8, 9 young leaders across the area, all of whom were Guides with us. Lots were Brownies and Rainbows as well, so that's really special. Yeah, so I think that the fact our funding has been given by Camden residents, it feels much more special to us, because it feels as though the local community are really, really investing back and that what you're doing really means a lot to the community. And I think that sometimes, particularly with youth activities, sometimes huge organisations might not really appreciate how much that small scale local youth activity means to their community and means to young people. So when you say, oh yeah, we were running Zoom activities for an hour and a half a week for a certain group, and we were, starting to run our face-to-face meetings again, that might not actually sound like that much for certain people, but actually for local Camden residents, they know how difficult the pandemic has been, particularly for young people in London who don't have as much access to outdoor space or facing lots of difficult scenarios. So for local residents to really see what's going on in their local community and actually choose to invest in an organisation like ours, it was really, really special for us, and we're so grateful to them to kind of choose and invest and support in us as well. So COVID's had a huge impact on our organisation, I think, in every sense, and kind of across our work, which is girl facing, but also our kind of adult facing work and the back end things that we do. So in terms of how it's impacted our funding, it's impacted massively. So usually we would do a lot of fundraising, which we weren't able to do at all. Because obviously these are kind of face-to-face activities, which we couldn't do. We also didn't charge for any of our activities during the kind of main lockdown, so from March all the way through to August. So things like the virtual residentials we didn't charge for, we didn't charge for any of our virtual meetings, because we knew that this was a very difficult time financially for our parents, and usually it's the parents and families who pay a small fee, and that is the thing that then gets reinvested into our organisation to then pay for resources. So yeah, we basically had no income whatsoever from our parents and families. So that hit us massively because we still had a lot of costs. So Zoom licenses and insurance, we pay an annual subscription to Girlsguiding nationally, that still had to get paid. And then when it came to restarting, we had all of those costs and also all the other kind of resources. Postage is just massively expensive, and that was a huge cost because we were posting so much out to the kids, and I was constantly posting out little birthday cards to them and all those kind of things, and that really adds up. So that's why we were really grateful to be able to access the COVID funding from Camden Giving, because particularly a lot of organisations had restricted their funding as well to only, for example, food relief or specific healthcare lines, which was totally understandable because everyone's funding was very restricted. But if it wasn't for those kind of organisations like Camden Giving, we wouldn't have been able to access funding. And in terms of how it's affected us more widely as an organisation, it meant we had to totally change the way we worked. We'd never heard of Zoom before, but we suddenly switched to being able to run meetings for 5-year-olds on Zoom for an hour, which was quite a challenge, but I think we can say we did it successfully. The kids had so much fun, and we earned loads of badges and did loads of great stuff. And we had to switch the way that we engaged with our adults as well. So meeting with adults online, offering training online, and all of those kind of things as well. And then even when we return face to face, implementing social distancing, having the older girls wearing masks, all the risk assessments and the risk management. Obviously, we're used to that to an extent, but it was very different when it came to our returning. So also, I think for us, not having to worry so much about the finances because we were so busy with all of the work that goes into the risk assessments and the individual support that we needed to do, not having to worry about every penny because we had the grant was really valuable because it freed up our time, particularly because all of our volunteers are also working. Lots of us are doctors, teachers, all those kind of things. So we're so busy. So yeah, really, for me personally, it freed up a lot of my time once I'd got that grant.
It's amazing that so many of you are key workers. So you had like such a difficult job during the pandemic, whilst the rest of us are all sat at home, you guys were all out and you were still able to kind of pull this off. And it just shows how incredibly fulfilling girl guiding must be and how valuable you all make it. So
Yeah, sure. And I think the thing is that everybody had a difficult time in the pandemic, like key worker or not. All of our volunteers were facing a lot of challenges, and it was hitting people's mental health and all those kind of things. So guiding was a really great space for the kids, but also for our adult volunteers as well. And what I really wanted as a commissioner and a unit leader was for our volunteers not to have to stress about the money, but just to be providing the experiences for their girls that they really wanted to. So often the money is the most stressful part of this kind of organisation. So if we could have that grant and then they could just concentrate on getting the things out for the kids that they wanted, then that was the ideal scenario for us. So I think the legacy of guiding activities, I hope, will be a very long and positive one. So there's been a recent study which shows young people who are involved in guiding and scouting have better mental health and resilience skills as they grow older, because hopefully we instill those skills in them from a young age. But I hope personally, and particularly within Girlguiding St Pancras, we are very focused on skills development and particularly resilience development in our young people, right from that, that youngest rainbow, age 5, all the way up. So I hope that our girls learn skills from us, and particularly life skills that they wouldn't learn at school. So teamwork and how to get on with other people, and also how to believe in themselves and kind of growing confidence as well. And I hope that that will serve them well as they grow up and into adulthood and go into their careers and whatever they choose to do, is that guiding will have been a positive space for them, where people believed in them, where they felt that they belonged, where they felt happy and supported, no matter what else was going on in their life. That they felt when they came to Rainbows, Brownies, Guides and Rangers, they were all in the same uniform. They all, had the same promise and were earning the same badges. And they felt that that was a space that they felt really happy, and safe. We often say to the girls, we did an activity about dementia awareness, because we do a lot of community action. And we often talk to them about what they'll remember. And we'll always say that you won't remember the exact details of, what craft you made, but you will remember how you felt when you were a guide. And we hope that they felt happy and safe and supported by us as volunteers. So there's lots of people who now are very successful adults in lots of different ways. So lots of kind of famous people who you can say, like the first British woman to go to space, Helen Sharman, she was a girl guide, and we can't say that that was exactly because of girl guiding, but we can say, that might have had a part of it. But I hope just more than anything for my girls that they grow up to be resilient and good members of the community. We do a lot of work in getting them to understand the experiences of other people, so from lots of different communities, and for them to be really good global citizens. And I really hope that that's something that they take forward, and they're good and honest and helpful young people, which is all kind of part of our promise. And they are during our meetings, and I know that that's what they're like now. So I really believe that they're going to grow up to be really honest, helpful young citizens. Yes, I think I have to say my favourite thing about Camden is Girlguiding in Camden. But I think that especially the way we interact with other organisations, because we're really keen for the girls to get out and meet different people and understand different aspects of the community, and to learn lots of new things, whether that be us celebrating Pride or Black History Month, or understanding the needs of people with disabilities. So all sorts of things. We want our girls to be really, really good citizens. So we love all of the different community organisations in Camden. So sometimes our local councillor will come and visit us, and we'll do campaigns with her. So on Zoom last year, we did an amazing campaign about ensuring that the TfL transport subsidies for young people were kept, because it looked like they were going to be scrapped. So we did a big campaign with our local councillors, and then one of the deputy mayors came to visit us on Zoom. So that was incredible. But then also other organisations, like we'll go and visit the Hampstead Peace Garden. That was the first place we went when we were allowed to reopen in person. It was such a beautiful and, as the name suggests, peaceful, relaxing place for us to get back to face-to-face guiding. Or a few weeks ago, we went to Kentish Town City Farm and had a really nice time there, because we can't really, at the moment anyway, just before lockdown had eased, we couldn't really get that far out of London. So it was so nice to be able to go and visit the farm and have fun with the animals there, and all the kids got to stroke really cute animals and they had the best time. So I think for me, the best thing about Camden is all the different community organisations that are out there, and how they're so willing to come together and share their skills and share their venues and their expertise. And we love that in Girlsguiding. We love to be able to get our girls and young women out into different organisations and work together with them, all for the good of Camden and for the good of, particularly for us, the young people of Camden. That's really special to us.